Hey everybody, my next guest is one of the men who is responsible for the greatest sports moment in the 20th century and the captain of one of the most amazing teams ever assembled in sports. His book, The Making of a Miracle, The Untold Story of the Captain of the 1980 gold medal winning U.S. Olympic hockey team, is out now and can be found everywhere books are sold. Here he is, a true legend and an American icon, MIKE Eruzione. Hello, sir.
Hey, good. How you doing?
Happy belated birthday to you as well.
Thank you.
Yes, it's I can't believe it's in February it'll be 45 years since the Miracle on Ice Olympics. And it's still as impactful now as it was then. To me it's still as important of a moment now as it was then. Um I mean, just take me through, being part of that amazing team.
Well, I think, and I've said this many times, to me, again, this is my opinion, other than being a firefighter, a police officer, uh, a soldier, people who, represent our country and save the freedom that we have, putting a USA jersey on is pretty special. And my teammates and I just had an opportunity to be a part of something, and we didn't know we were playing a hockey game, or a lot of hockey games. Everybody always talks about the Soviet game, but if we don't beat Finland on Sunday, you and I are not having this conversation today. So it was just a great honor to, like I said, to do it in your own country. And again, you go back to 1979 and 1980. It's a very difficult time in that country, similar to what we're dealing with today. And along come a group of hardworking guys that touch the spirit and the lives of so many people. I can't tell you how many people come up to me and they'll say, "I remember where I was when we won." And I go, I didn't know you were on the team.
We were all with you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that moment was. And like you said, it's hard to believe it's been 45 years, but it's been a fun 45. Let's put it that way.
The countdown going on right now. Morrow up to Schultz. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
I tell you, I remember I was a young kid when it all happened, and I just remember my dad going crazy, cheering, literally welled up when we saw like Jim Craig looking for his dad and all that. All the stories within the stories was so huge, and it was such a huge moment in time. I remember like growing up playing street hockey, everyone mimicking your celebration. Yeah, just running. I got goosebumps just thinking about it. It was again, I don't think, for younger people understand, and maybe they do now because it's kind of where we're at today, but the time in American history, it was such a difficult time. We had the hostages that were there in Iran was still a thing, inflation, the long gas lines, the Cold War. We're just getting off the heels of Vietnam. We needed a win. And we needed that. And I think coming from this kind of underdog team of young college kids, unknowns, I think just adds, it makes it that much more incredible. And to use Al Michaels' term, it's the miracle.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, for us as a team, I think we represented our country. In more ways than one. It was more than a hockey game. I mean, to us, it was a hockey game, but to the nation, it was far greater and far more important. And, you don't have that many sporting events that have that effect. We just watched the World Series, and some people were rooting for the Dodgers and some for the Yankees. And I'm a Boston guy. We weren't playing, so I really didn't care. But when it's the Olympic Games, it's a nation. And whether it's our team in 1980 or other Olympic athletes in 84 and 88 and go on and on and on, we feel a part of them because that's who they are. They represent us. And, our team, if you did a background check on my teammates, you'll find we all came from working class families whose parents instilled in us that the values of hard work and togetherness and pride and respect, qualities that our hockey team had to go along with clearly being, we didn't suck. I mean, we had some pretty good players on that team. So when you add the skill level and the determination factor and the heart and pride that we had, made us a successful team.
And it did bring so much patriotism. I think that was where the USA chant kind of was born. USA, and we've been doing it ever since. And it was birthed there. And I think the patriotism was huge at a time when we needed it the most. And again, your game-winning goal against the Soviet Union has been one of the most played highlights in American sports. It was chosen by Sports Illustrated in 1999 as the greatest sports moment of the 20th century. I know you've had 45 years to kind of think about that moment. Does it ever stop being like, wow, to you? Or like that I did that?
No, it's funny. As obviously I get older, I have grandkids now, and my grandkids play hockey, and the oldest is there. I have 6 boys and 1 girl, and the boys are playing hockey, and I go watch them play, and you can't believe how many little kids come up to me once their father or grandfather tells them who I am, and they've all seen the movie Miracle, and they all know the story. Right. So, I know it's not on the tip of people's tongues, but when people bring up sporting events and great moments in sports, depending on your age, it had a special place in a lot of people's hearts.
Eruzione! Mike Eruzione!
Like I said, I think the movie Miracle has given us a new generation of fans because they all know the story. I mean, I just come into my office here at Boston University, and I get 5 or 6 letters every day, and from young kids wanting an autographed picture because they've seen the movie or they heard about the story. So, it's just great to know that you're a part of something like that. And I think sometimes to see it through my grandkids' eyes now makes it that much more special. I mean, my kids had to deal with it, growing up, and now my grandkids deal with it. So it's kind of funny.
That's amazing, and it transcends generations. It's such a huge time, and not only in sports but in American history. I'm reading in the book, you're talking about when Herb, would say you guys are born to be players, and at first it didn't resonate with you. You were kind of like, I just want to play hockey. This is what I do. It's just another game for me. And I think that's a good way to look at it as a player in that moment in time, so you don't feel the weight of America and all the pressure. I mean,
right. I think that was kind of a good thing for us. We weren't allowed to talk to the media. There were no press conferences and it's not like today. There was no social media. There were 3 TV stations. There was no, Twitter or Facebook or anything like that. So we were very naive to what was going on. We knew people in Lake Placid were excited. Clearly, I knew my family and friends at home were excited, but no clue that the world was watching the way they were until after the Olympic Games was over. And we went to the White House, and we got off. When the president sent the plane to take the Olympians to the White House, we still didn't know what was going on, other than we were going to go to the White House and meet the president. But when we landed in Washington and got on the bus and started to drive to the White House, the lines of people in the street, like, holy shit, this was pretty big. And then we went to the White House and met President Carter and his wife, Rosalind, and met a bunch of, obviously, politicians that were there. And then I remember going back to Boston. I was on the plane, Eastern Airlines. That's how long ago that was. Me, Dave Silk, and Jack O'Callahan. Jimmy had signed with Atlanta, so he was gone. We got on the plane, and everybody in the plane kind of started applauding. And then it landed in Logan Airport, and the lines of people, the state police were holding people back as me, Jack, and Dave were walking, to meet our parents and go back to our hometown. And it was like, holy shit, this thing's incredible. And then I got to my hometown and the parade and everything. And then I went to walk to New York to do Good Morning America. And it was like it was a mob scene. And I'm like, holy shit, this thing's crazy. So yeah, we didn't know. We were just playing. And I guess looking back, maybe that was good that we didn't know, because we were just having fun, not realizing there was no pressure. No pressure on us at all. We were enjoying the moment. And I've told people many times after we beat Finland, if there was another game to play, we would have played it. I mean, that was the type of team. My teammates, we loved just being together and playing hockey. So, again, I think it was good that there was no media like there would have been today.
Yeah. Do you think had you guys had known that the world was watching to that degree, or if you felt that kind of pressure, would that have made a difference in any way?
I don't think so, because if you sat in our locker room before a game, you wouldn't have thought we had a big game to play at all. I mean, our average age was 21 and a half, I think 22. Matter of fact, we'd be the youngest team in college hockey today. So we had two 18, 19-year-old kids on our team. I was 25, so Buzzy Schneider and I were the old men on the team. So we would just have it, we were kids having fun and not looking at the bigger picture. It was just, we got a game to play, and I hate to sound like Bill Belichick, but it was on to the next game. We're on to the Russians, and we're on to Finland. And that was our mindset.
Yeah. And like you said, the Russian game against Russia is the one that kind of everyone talks about because of the Cold War and because of the times and how good the Russians were. But Finland, you needed that one to get the medal,
Right?
And to become champions and to really solidify the story.
5 seconds to the gold medal. 4 to the gold medal. This impossible dream comes true.
Back then, was there a feeling of, after you beat the Russians, that we did it, or is it like, no, we still got, like, focus on the next one?
Well, it was funny. We beat the Soviets on a Friday night, and we get to the locker room on Saturday, and we are all giddy and laughing and signing pictures and having fun. And all of a sudden, Herb comes in and just flipped out. I mean, screaming and yelling at us. And we had one of the hardest practices we had all year. And I'm like, why is he so pissed off? We just beat the Soviets. And what he did and needed to do was get all that energy out of us and get us back down to earth. And like I said, we skated our butts off on Saturday. And I said to Herb later, after we beat Finland on Sunday, I said, Herb, you didn't have to skate us that hard. We were ready to play Finland. It could have been a little lighter on us, but I mean, that's what made him a great coach. Was he knew how to prepare our team and what buttons to push. And, maybe we did need a kick in the ass, and realizing that, we had another game to play, and we knew that, but maybe, he was looking at it as we kind of having a little too much fun out here after beating the Soviets.
So they were very well-rounded, and they're really tough psychologically. They were hard-bitten, tough people, and that could be pulled, and at times pushed, but mostly pulled, and understood that, great, do it again, and they had a tremendous mental resilience. They were tough young people.
Herb was notoriously demanding and cold and stern and mean, right? These are like, but also known as a great coach. Is there anything he said to you that cut deep, and anything that still echoes today?
Well, Herb was very similar to my high school football coach, my college hockey coach, Shaq Parker at Boston University. That's how coaches coached in that era. They were in your face. They challenged you every day, and made you not only a better player, but a better person. The values that Herb taught us and talked to us about were the same values that my father showed me as a kid, about hard work and determination and being a good person and respecting people, qualities that our hockey team had that Herb just kept instilling in us. And the thing about Herb was, and I've said this about coaches all the time, if you don't respect your coach, you're in trouble. And more importantly, if you don't trust your coach, you're in trouble. And yeah, Herb was challenging, but we trusted him and we respected him. And his rules were the law. And that's just the way it was going to be. And if you don't want it, quit. I ain't quitting. You can yell at me all you want. I want to be on this team. So Herb knew what buttons to push. Me, you yell at me, I get mad and I work harder. You don't have to yell at Kenny Morrow. He'll figure it out. Mark Johnson, you don't have to yell at Mark. Me, Phil Vercoda, Jack O'Callahan, Dave Silk, absolutely. Get in our face. Challenge us. And that's how we sent the message to the team. was understanding what players he could challenge and push to send a message to everybody. I think that's a great skill to have as a coach. Forget the X and O's because he was brilliant with that, but just the motivation, how he pushed us and how he challenged us every day, all year, 6 months of training. It was a grind and it was hard, but what are you going to do? That's the way it's going to be, and I'll deal with it.
Right.
My dad challenged me and pushed me as a kid, and guess what? That's what Herb did.
And as a leader and coach yourself through the years, how much of her like "I'm not your friend" style do you use in your coaching style, or
It's very different. I help out with our high school team. I work here at Boston University. In fact, after this interview, I'm going to go watch practice, and I hang around the players. I'm in the locker room talking to the kids and get to know them. But even at the high school level, you can't coach that way today. It's different. Don't yell at Johnny. He's going to tell mommy, and you're in trouble.
right.
When I was a kid, not everybody got a trophy either. So it's a different era. It's a different way of coaching. I think you have to be stern, strict, disciplined, but you have to have a softer side today because I think you just can't. Kids won't respond the way we did, and I think great coaches know how to do that and know how to deal with it. So my coaching, when I get in a kid's face, he knows I'm pissed off, but I think I'm a lot friendlier, a lot more. Put my arm around the kid's shoulder. I remember last year I was yelling at one of the kids on the high school team, and I said, "You're skating like you're in the Ice Capades." And he looked at me, and I went, "You never heard of the Ice Capades, have you?" He goes, "No." So I said, "There goes that teaching message." So it is very different, but kids still want to learn. Still, kids today still want to be successful, but I think your approach has to be a little different now than it was, in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like every generation, for whatever reason, it gets, for lack of a better word, softer and softer. Even though in hockey, I think the evolution, the players are getting stronger and bigger, faster, stronger, and all that.
There's no question they're better now.
Yeah,
like I said, I watch our BU practices, and I'm like, wow, we didn't do those things when I was here.
yeah,
So the level of play, and especially in the sport of ice hockey, they're 6'5", 6'6", 6. You were never that big when I played. If you were, you couldn't skate. And then you
right.
look at Connor McDavid or Austin Matthews. I mean, they're big people.
Yeah.
So a tribute to the game and how good they are.
Now, in your book too, you kind of talk about your work ethic and things like that. That you weren't necessarily the fastest or most talented, but you always believed in yourself. And I think work ethic is something that either you're born with sometimes, or I don't know if it could be learned. I think you have to have it. How important is it though to believe and to have that work ethic?
Well, so many times I was told I was too small. When I was in high school, I was 150 pounds, and went to prep school and ended up at Boston University and got a little bigger and got a little stronger. But I always look at my life as an athlete that I've always won. In high school, we won, high school championships, and I was a football, baseball, hockey player. I played probably more baseball than anything. So I was a three-sport athlete. I was all state in all three sports. So I was pretty good. So I always had confidence, despite what other people might have said or thought. When I came to Boston University, nobody thought I could play Division I hockey, and I left here as the second all-time leading scorer in the history of the school. I went to Toledo and played for a team that won the championship. I went to the Olympics and we won a gold medal. So, I can look back on my career and, people can say, maybe he couldn't do this and couldn't do that. But I look at the championship teams that I played on, and I think I had a part in it. I wasn't the best player every time, but I clearly belonged. And that's a confidence that I had. I believed in myself, despite what outsiders might say. But I was fortunate to play under coaches that believed in me as well. A high school football coach decided that I need a punt returner. Mike, you're going to be the punt returner and return some touchdowns. So, came to Boston University and Jack Parker, and then obviously Herb in the Olympic team. So, everybody can say what they want to say. I just know when I wake up in the morning, I've been pretty happy with the career that I had as an athlete and that I was pretty good at it.
Yes, sir. I remember, like I said, growing up, everybody, would want to be Eruzione, like especially where I'm from in Long Island, Italian neighborhood. Everyone was wearing your the jersey, and so it it kind of it you were a symbol also to my neighborhood, and I bet you a million others across the country. So yes, so this is, like I said, this interview is definitely an honor. And there was also lots of documentaries about you, lots of books about the team, and two movies, Miracle on Ice and Miracle. So I wanted to ask, who do you think portrayed you better? Was it Patrick O'Brien Dempsey or Andrew Stevens?
Oh, definitely Patrick. Andrew couldn't skate, so that was kind of funny. I mean, he could learn. We kind of teach him to skate, but Patrick played college hockey, so I was just with Patrick actually a few weeks ago in Boise, Idaho. So clearly, Patrick was a little better fit. And the first movie was nice. The second one was a little better in my opinion, mainly because they hired hockey players to teach to act, rather than actors to teach to play hockey. So all those kids who played in the movie, they could play the game. So I think that helped sell the movie as well. The hockey scenes were dead on real.
Yeah.
These guys could play. So, Andrew was a nice guy. He was married to Kate Jackson, which was even the coolest part. But Patrick did a good job.
Eruzione, Mike.
And then for her, Brooks, you had Carl Malden versus Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Whatever it costs us personally to get here, it was worth it.
Yeah, and again, Carl Malden was a great guy, but Kurt Russell, Kurt played AAA baseball, but Kurt was an athlete, so he fit into that role. I mean, he knew how to be a coach. He'd been in a locker room. He'd been around, successful players, so he knew the type of attitude you had to have to play that role.
Great moments are born from great opportunity.
And I've said many times, I mean, he should have got an Academy Award. His performance as Herb Brooks was absolutely amazing, although he was a little friendlier in the movie. They made Herb to be a little nicer in the movie Miracle, but Kurt was amazing. It was kind of eerie watching him.
I used to work for the Carolina Hurricanes for a long time. I was part of their Stanley Cup run in 05, 06. I did all the video board work and stuff like that. So I've been around great leaders like Rod Brindamore and even Coach Laviolette. But we use that clip all the time of Kurt Russell's Herb Brooks, now get out there and take it.
This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
Definitely seen the movie a million times. Love that. I also love the part. I'm, Mike Eruzione. Who do you play for? Play for the United States of America.
Again.
Mike Eruzione! Went through Massachusetts.
Who do you play for?
Play for the United States of America.
Was that that scene actually happen?
We skated. Not everybody skated. Only 16 of us dressed that night. And Buzzy Schneider got thrown out for fighting. So there were 15 of us. And when the game ended, we did the Herbies. We did them, but not everybody at once. We did them 5 guys at a time. And we'd do them for 15 minutes, then we'd stretch. Then we did them again and we stretched. Then we did them again and we stretched. We did them for about an hour and 15 minutes. They did shut the lights off in the building. I remember the drill ending when Mark Johnson smashed his stick against the glass, and Herb said, if I hear another goddamn stick smash against the glass, you'll skate till you die. Well, we finished the drill. We went back in the locker room, and he said, gentlemen, if you play this way again tomorrow, you're going to skate again. Well, we played Norway the next day and won 8-0. So the message was understood.
Wow.
And in the movie, and I get a kick out of it, a little Hollywood here and there, but they have the guys on the bench looking at the girls in the stands. And that didn't happen. At least I told my wife that didn't happen. We skated because, and I've said this many times, there are a lot of important values in life, and the most important one is respect. And I believe we skated because that night we didn't respect ourselves, we didn't respect each other, and we didn't respect our opponents. And it was a great lesson because we never had that issue again.
That's all, gentlemen.
And it's funny, you have to change the subject, but you said Carolina, so you must have got to know Donnie Waddell.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He could have been on our team. He broke his leg.
Wow.
And I think that he could have been one of our defensemen.
He's a great guy. Yeah, he was awesome.
He broke his leg, and then Herb brought him back to skate with us, but he wasn't the same player. And I really think that, in the end, I don't know if he'd have finally been there, but he clearly was in the running, and he's done a great job in his role in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, he's a really great guy and a great leader, super nice guy. Yeah, I loved working for him and being around him. He came on. I left there in 2015, and he had a couple of years in by then. So I got to work with him maybe 2 or 3 seasons when Waddell came in. He was an awesome guy. Yeah. And super, yeah. That's very cool. I never actually knew that.
Okay, you ready? And you gotta get the finger. You gotta go. Woo! You gotta get that in there too. Right. Okay, ready?
On three.
1, 2, 3. Woo! Oh, and his was good. He had it in there. I heard a little horse.
Yes,
it was like,
yes,
woo!
you did it.
I loved it. It was very good.
High five. Win tomorrow night.
Nice.
Great.
Okay.
And now here we are, 2024. The times are very similar to 1980. In where we're kind of in despair. It's almost the same thing. There's wars going on all over the place. There's hostages, not in some of American in Israel situation. Some may argue we have a weak president. There's wars. There's inflation. We need another miracle.
Well, we got to find somebody to pull us together. I don't know who that's going to be. I don't know who's going to win the election, and whoever it is, we support, regardless of whether you voted for that person or not. And I think that's kind of the problem we have right now is people. And again, I'm an old school guy. I think the problem is people just don't respect people anymore, and we've lost that value of respect. I've gotten into arguments with friends over politics. And I'm not a political guy. I'm not that smart. I do know Donald Trump very well. I played golf with him. I knew Joe Biden very well. I went with Joe Biden when he was the vice president to the Olympic Games in Vancouver. And I would argue with my friends, look at whether whoever's in, we support. And that's just the way it's got to be. And we got to find a way to unify our country. We live in the greatest country in the world. And people sometimes don't see that, or they take it for granted. And it frustrates me. That whoever's going to be the leader of our country, we have to support that person and find a way to work together. And if you can't, we're going to keep bitching and complaining and whining about this and that. If you don't like it, go live in another country. Go see what it's like to live somewhere else. And that kind of drives me, to the point of, let's figure it out. Why do we live in the greatest country in the world is because of the opportunities that we have to live in this country. And let's work together, whether you agree or disagree, let's just respect each other's opinions. And that seems to be lost. People just don't get it. So again, that's something we got to figure out.
Yeah, I totally agree 100%. I think, here we are where, election day is coming up in a couple of days. I think it's going to the craziness is just going to increase regardless of who is the winner. I think in the beginning, once they find out, and then, but I do agree that we need to all be on the same page. We have to embrace whoever the sitting president may be, like we always have done. And I feel like like America has changed, and it's like sides, like divisive, like actual sides, two teams.
Yeah, and we can't have that.
No, we can't have that. I totally agree. And like I said, we need another miracle. And Any chance you guys get the team together and we go and score
Well,
another goal?
it's funny. Just recently, and I read this, and nobody's contacted me. Apparently, there are a few politicians that are proposing that the '80 Olympic team get the Congressional Gold Medal, which would be the ultimate honor. We've achieved a lot of great moments in our lives through that victory, but I think this would be the frosting on the cake to have something like that presented to our team, because you can't pat yourself on the back, but take a step back and think about it. I mean, that's something our team deserves. We could, maybe that's a unifying moment in our country, because whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or whatever you are, you got to still agree that this moment was pretty special. So maybe that's the start of unifying our nation. But as a hockey team, like I said to you before, we just always have taken great pride in what we did, what we accomplished, and how it touched the lives of so many people. And it was said many times, people were proud to wave the flag after what happened in 1980. Where prior, people were, not too happy about that. So, an athletic event can change maybe the mindset of the thinking of people. And what better group of people than my teammates. If you look at my teammates today, unfortunately, 3 of my teammates have passed, but they're hardworking guys who are all very successful in what they do today in their lives, because they brought more to the table than their hockey skills. They brought those values of work ethic and commitment that are so important in life. And basically, we're all good guys. I was telling my wife the other day, it's hard to be an asshole. It's easy to be nice. It's easy to be friendly. And I think our team was that. And I think people saw that. And I think that's why they felt a part of our victory, because they could relate to who we were.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And like I said, it still resonates today. And I urge everybody, I'll put clips in within this thing of all those amazing moments from 1980 Lake Placid and through the years, and what you meant and still mean today to our country, and how significant that moment was.
What an achievement. That may be the greatest upset in sports history. For comparison, we'll try to imagine that American football was played in the Summer Olympic Games, and then imagine that an all-star team of Canadian college boys beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's that big an upset. Bobby Addy tells us he was in a restaurant called Jimmy's across from our hotel when the result was announced there, and he said all the people in the place spontaneously stood up and sang our national anthem. I personally can't remember anything like that happening since World War II.
Where do you keep your gold medal?
It's in the safety deposit box at the bank. The only time I take it out is the grandkids usually take it to school for show and tell. But of course, my wife is standing very, very close to him. But everything else, I have my skates that I wore, and I have the stick from the Finland game. I don't know if you know, years ago, it was maybe 10 years ago, I sold all my memorabilia. I sold the 2 jerseys. I sold the stick from the Russian game, my shin pads. It's great. And I got, I think, $1.7 million.
Wow.
For all of it. And financially, I don't need money. Things are good for me. But I took some of the money and endowed a scholarship in my mother and father's name here at Boston University. I had my own charitable foundation, and I put some money into that. And then the rest of the money my 3 kids took, and all 3 of them have used that to buy houses. So it went for a good cause.
Wow.
What am I going to do with my shin pads? And I got 3 kids and 2 jerseys, so that wouldn't work. Right. And the Russian stick, funny, it was just in my closet, just kind of sitting in the back, and I'm never going to use it to play. So it was kind of funny. It's the times we live in, I guess. People collect stuff, so I'll sell it.
That's amazing. That's amazing, and God bless, and I think that's awesome, and much deserved too, for all your successes and everything that you've done. Mike Eruzione, thank you so much. I think everyone should go out and check out, get your book on Amazon or wherever you buy books. It's a great book, great read. It's straight from Mike's own mouth, pretty much. I mean, this is I feel like it's you talking when I'm reading this. So it's an awesome book. Um, Thank you so much. Is there anything you want to tell the people where to follow you or anything?
No, I'm not. I'm on Twitter. That's about it. And I don't even know how to do that. I remember when COVID hit. Three of my grandkids were home, and my wife had all three of them in three different rooms doing their schoolwork. And she caught one of my grandson, Michael, sharing his screen. And he had the teacher on one side and video games on the other. So obviously she yelled at him. She told me the story. So I grabbed him. I said, Michael, what happened today? So he told me, I said, you got caught, didn't you? He says, yeah, Papa, I got caught. I says, well, do me a favor. He goes, what's that? Show Papa how to share your screen, because I don't know how to do that. So when it comes to technology, I'm clueless, but I am on Twitter. I don't tweet a lot of stuff, but you can find me here at Boston University if you're looking for me.
Thank you, sir. This was truly an honor to talk to you. Thank you so much. All the best with everything you have going on. And again, like I can't help tell people to go check out this book more. Thank you so much. Mike Eruzione, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.